Yeah, and I think you guys haven't got time to practice as well, is what I feel. So um, let's learn today, and then you can practice over weekdays, and then if you have any doubt, you can ask next weekend. That also we can do, no problem. And Aniket, I guess you haven't shared your email ID to share the subscription. If you want the subscription, please share the email ID to Anumeha. She can add you in the subscription. Okay. So yeah, so till now what we have done, we made the subscription, we made the resource group. Then inside the resource group, we made the subscription, and then we made the resource group, and inside the resource group, we made the storage account. We made two kinds of storage account. One is blob storage, second is data lake gen 2. We understood difference between a blob storage and data lake gen 2. In blob storage, you cannot make a directory inside a container. In data lake gen 2, you can make a directory inside a container. And also in data lake gen 2, you can manage ACL access control list, which you cannot do in the blob storage. Blob storage is a older storage. Data Lake Gen 2 is upgraded version. So mostly in our project we will be Data Lake Gen 2, which is a futuristic solution. So either company has been using a blob storage, now they want to migrate to Data Lake Gen 2, or if they are using a blob storage, it is a very particular, very fixed requirement, then only they are using a blob storage. Very important for the interview perspective. Then we created data factory. So particularly we are targeting this architecture. Uh, so we also, I have given a homework to create a MS SQL Server, MySQL Server on in your computer. And then we created this blob storage and data lake gen 2. Now we went and created a data factory. What is data factory and why do we use data factory? Data factory we use to basically move the data from one place to another. So here in this case, we use data factory to move the data from we will use the data factory to move the data from on-premise to data lake gen 2. That is why we will use data factory. So we went and then created a data factory, uh, which is a no code tool. Here you can uh, like uh, just drag and drop activities and then create a data factory. We then understood what is integration runtime and link service. So there are three kinds of integration runtime. One is self-hosted integration runtime. Second is Azure default integration runtime. Third is SSIS. SSIS integration runtime we use to import SSIS packages. Self-hosted integration runtime we use for to move the data from or into any of the on-premise server. We use self-hosted integration runtime, and Azure default integration runtime is provided by Microsoft. We don't need to take care of it, like we don't need to maintain it. It is provided by Microsoft, and is we use Azure default integration runtime also to move the data from any of the cloud server. We use this particular Azure default integration runtime, and SSIS integration runtime we use to import SSIS packages. Okay, very important from the interview perspective. What is integration runtime? And then we understood what is a link service. Link service is basically authentication to a database. So we understood how to create a link service for MS SQL and a data lake gen 2. We also understood what is dataset, pipeline, and activity. So first we create a pipeline. Inside that we put activity. And what is dataset? Dataset is a reference point of where data is located. Because once we create a link service, we reach to that server. And once we create dataset, in the dataset we mentioned like which data we want to pick in. That is what we mentioned over there. So yeah, so this is what we have covered. Any doubt, any concerns till here? The people who joined today as a first class, I will try to share the recording of past two classes which has happened. You can go through the recording, you can easily understand it. If not, then like I will try to just ping me. I will try to explain you, or like we can have a call, no problem. So yeah, this is what we have covered. What is the agenda of the today's class? The people who joined today only as a first class, I will try to give a brief. So currently, uh, we are targeting this architecture. That is, this is the architecture which we are targeting. And here, what we are trying to do, we are trying to move the data from a source to a destination, from a source to a destination using data factory. So in this particular architecture, we are trying to do this part using data factory source to destination. Okay. And whenever you are moving the data from one place to another, from place A to place B, you need two things, right? So you first need a connection, like to both of the sources, a connection. And for that, there's a link service which helps you to connect. Okay, so that we already made in the past class. Today we will directly use it. And then today we will understand a activity, which is a copy data activity. So whenever you're moving the data from place A to place B, you need a like a copy activity, which we can use in a data factory. So that activity will understand in a detailed manner. That is what we will do today. So here I'm going to data factory. I will create a pipeline, new pipeline. And then I will paste a copy data activity here. I'm going to my storage account. Here I will upload few of the more files. And all of these sample files, you guys can get it from the link which I have shared in the group. All the sample files are there. Ideally, this sample file I am uploading directly manually, right? But like when you have a MS SQL server on premise, you will not directly move it. You will create, like you will move it from MS SQL to here in ideally in a company. You will not do it manually. It is just like from the pipeline you will do it. I am doing from pipeline, from the manual upload. But ideally, when you're working in a company, you will design a pipeline which can move the data from MS SQL to here, schedule it, all of those things you will do. But currently our agenda is to understand copy data activity. This is the activity which we are trying to understand. And here I am taking my source as of now, source as input container. This is the source I am taking right now. And my sink is a output container, output. And by doing that, we are trying to understand the functionality, all the functionality of the copy data activity, and all the functionality can be used in other way around. Like suppose if you have a different sync and all of that, then also you can use this all the functionality. So we will go one by one to every functionality and then try to understand it. So here I am defining, as I told you, I am defining my source as input, and I am defining my sync as output container. This is the container I am defining a sync for now. Okay. Now let's do a simple copy without any functionality. Then we will try to just go to each and every option and try to understand it. So we'll do a simple copy. Here I will select data like Gen2. Click continue, CSV file, click continue. First copy source, link service is this. input folder, suppose employee.csv. I am creating a data set. What is data set? Data set is a reference point of where your data is located. In this link service, I want to pick this file. That is what I am mentioning in my data set. Data set is a reference point of where data is located. Okay. Click OK. Sync data lake CSV file. Link service is this. Output is what is data set? Data set is a reference point of where your data is located or where you want to move it. So here we are moving the data to suppose output container folder directory, and then employee out.csv. Sometimes you will do a mistake of not mentioning CSV over here. So mention .csv as well if you're moving it. Import schema is done. First row as a header. Okay. That's all. Everything looks fine. I will validate it. I will debug it to do the first copy without using any functionality. What I mean by functionality, without using any of the properties like a wildcard list of file, this options. So I'm not using any functionality. I'm just running my copy data activity for now. Done. It has been completed. You can change the copy data activity name as well if you want to. You can go to general and then change the name. Input to output. So here, if I go input container, I picked the file from here. This is the file which I picked, employee.csv. And I moved the file over here, output container, folder, employee.out.csv. Okay. That is what we have done. Now let's understand the functionality one by one. So I am going directly, suppose in the general tab, what are the options are present? Okay. So here we can write the name of my copy data activity, and your name should be in such a manner that you get what your copy data activity is doing. Okay, so suppose in a company, you are not the only one who is working on this particular interface. Many people will come here and then look at it, your interface, right? So your copy data activity naming convention or your pipeline naming convention should be in such a manner that everybody in your team or in your organization can get it, what you are trying to do over there, because nobody can just go open each and every setting and try to understand it. Okay, so it should be very clear, or right description, right name, best name. So best is if you just try to make your activities and pipeline as descriptive as possible so that people can understand it. You can write the name here, you can write the description here. During the class, I won't be totally following everything, but you can anyways do it in your organization when you're working. I have shared the documentation in the group. You can follow that documentation. Okay. Now, yeah, so here you can write the description. Now, what is this timeout error? So suppose, as we have understood, whenever we are working in an organization, there will be always a three kinds of development environment, test environment, and prod environment, right? So when you're developing this pipeline, you understood that this particular activity generally takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, for example, right? Then you give the timeout error as suppose 30 minutes, because in the production environment, you uh, thought that it will not take more than 30 minutes at least, because you already took a buffer. So you give a timeout error of 30 minutes to understand if it is taking abnormal time, because generally this copy data activity is getting completed in 5 to 10 minutes. But if it is taking abnormal time of 30 minutes or suppose 1 hour, then you get a error, a timeout error, that your copy data activity is kind of stuck, and it sometimes happens when you're trying to reach out to source. So currently our source is data lake, but when our source is something different like on-premise server and all of that, sometimes your source is not responding, so it hangs. Okay, so it you keep copy data activity will be keep on running for like 1 day 2 day because it hangs. Okay, sometimes happens. So you give your timeout error in such a way that it throws you a error that yeah, it is taking more than 1 hour for example, and then it is a like the timeout. Okay, so here it is by default 12 hours, but you can change it to 1 hour 30 minutes, all of that you can do. Now, if it gives a timeout error, then how many times, like suppose, if it gives a timeout error, then you feel that, yeah, there's a timeout error, it came, then you want to retry. So suppose, yeah, so ideally it takes around 5 minutes, you set up a timeout error of 1 hour, for example, right? Now, after the timeout error, it gave you a timeout error. You want to retry after suppose like 1 hour again or 30 seconds again or all of that. That also you can do. I want to retry for 2 times and in this interval that you can put over here. Timeout, retry interval. Okay. Mostly, if you ask me, I have only used this timeout error. I haven't tried retry interval. Okay, those option I haven't tried till now. Now let's go to source, let's go to sync, and then here we will come here, we will try to understand this option. First we'll go to mapping. Okay, so here I am trying to import the schema to understand what is this mapping. Now suppose when I am trying to move my data, I don't want to move all the column. That I don't want to do. I want to move certain columns. So here what you can do, you can delete few of the columns. Suppose I don't want currency. Yeah, so I can delete currency. I don't want, uh, for example, end date, that I don't want. So I can delete this as well. While copying, if I don't want few of the columns, that you can do. Like suppose if I don't want age, I can delete this as well. Now I can debug this again. So this will not move the columns which I don't want. So previously it was copying all the data, but here if I delete few of the column, it will not move those columns. Then I will debug it.
So Abhishek, mapping is somehow related to data transformation side.
Not exactly transformation. Now if you say that I want to change uh, kind of data transformation, but not exactly. Data transformation, you have data flows. Again,
Mhm.
it is just like filtering your data, rearranging your data. But yeah,
Mhm.
in a proper sense, it is data transformation, but not exactly. You have another. If you want to do many data transformation, that you cannot do because you have data flows for it.
Okay.
Here you can do some sort of data type conversion that you can do, and then you can interchange the column and delete the column, that you can do only. So it is very limited. Yeah, so here if I go to output, if I open folder, now you will not see those column which we have deleted, like age, currency. Yeah, so here if you see age, currency, all those column which we have deleted, it's not present over here. So this is how you can delete it. Now if you can interchange the column as well. Now suppose I will delete all of them. Now what I want employee name and manager name. For example, I want employee name and manager ID. That is the only thing which I want. So I can do that. So I will delete this. Mm, 1 second, I will import the schema again. Now what I want to do, I want to, for example, I want to interchange the column for, yeah, so here I want to make this first first name as first column. So here I will make first name and then first name here as well. And I will make employee ID as third column. Employee ID as third column. Okay. And yeah, so this I want to make last name, for example, last name. So yeah, so I have interchanged the column, and then I don't want any of this column, for example, salary and this column. First name, last name, department ID, manager ID, and date also I will delete. So I can delete as well. And then I will interchange the column as well. Suppose when to use this option, if you have very big data set, now you want to see important column at first instead of like in the last, so you can interchange the column as well. Done. I will go here. I will try to refresh it. Yeah, so this is how data got changed. Now, coming to source. Okay, now we will understand source. So what are the options are present? Now, again, one more important thing is if you click over here, it is a pipeline setting, pipeline parameter, pipeline variable, pipeline setting, pipeline output. It is a pipeline setting. If you click here, it is a copy data activity setting, all of it, right? When I open it, you can see over here it got opened. This is a data set. So you can see this particular bar is coming to the data set, right? This is a data set setting. So here we are using one pipeline, one copy data activity, two data set, one for source, one for sync. Similarly, you can see one pipeline, two data set, one activity. Now we are trying to understand copy data activity setting. If you say, Abhishek, I want to understand data set setting, it is different. Here you have data set setting. All of it is data set setting. Now, if you say, I want to understand, if I want to change pipeline setting, you click to the white space. Here, these are the pipeline setting. Because you can anyways put multiple copy data activity right here. So if I click over here, this is this copy data activity setting. If I click over here, this is this copy data activity setting. Now we are trying to understand copy data activity setting, and we will understand this option, wildcard file path and list of file. Okay. So suppose in this particular folder, I have a requirement that suppose Aniket said that Abhishek, I don't want to move only one file. I want to move three files, which is department, department1, department2. That is what I want to do. And also, if you see, there is a similarity, right? In all the three files, it starts with department. Okay. So we can provide department as a wildcard, that department star. I want to move all the file which starts with department, that you can put as a wildcard. So you have this wildcard option, where you can put what is the wildcard which you want to provide. So here, if you see, I'm going to input container, and then I'm going to folder. So here you can give wildcard folder path, which is folder, and wildcard file name, which is for example, this department CSV, department star. Okay. Now in the sync, I will not give any file name. Why? Because I am not moving any specific file for now, right? So I will not give us, I want to name this file as this. That I don't want to give. If I don't give anything, it will just move as it is. Okay. And here, if I go to the source, here I have mentioned the wildcard, right? So here I will not mention anything. It's not required. Why? It can take from there, right? So I'm not mentioning anything over there. Now let's validate if everything looks fine. Validate is just validating all the settings. If all the settings are fine, right? So just validating everything. So we validate, and then we will debug it. And ideally, what will be the result? The result will be, it will move all the file which starts with department star. That is what it will do. happened? Okay. Yeah, so one mistake which we have done, if I click to the copy data activity, if I go to the mapping, currently we have given this mapping, right, which is not valid for our department file. So we can clear this mapping. It's like because we have done this mapping for employee file, so it's not necessary that all of these mapping will be applicable for our department file, right? So we just cleared our mapping because we have used it for one particular file, which is employee. So I have cleared this mapping for now. And then let's debug. Succeeded. If I go over here, if I open this, if I go to output, if I open this, yeah, see all the file which starts with department is here with the file which we already moved, employee out.csv, right? So I can delete this. Now, if I go to input container, now I have a different requirement. For example, so here I will put some other files. So instead of CSV, I will put some XML file, JSON file, all of that also I will do. So let's go here. Let's open this. Let's open this. Yeah, I will move this. No, this is all CSV, I guess. 1 second. Yeah, these are JSONs. So I will move this JSON file. Also, let me see if I have other files as well. Yeah. Now my requirement is a bit different. So what I want to do now, input container, folder, and then I want to move all the file which ends with .csv extension. I want to reject JSON XML, right? That is what I want to do. I want to only move file which ends with .csv extension. Okay. So here I can go over here. Here instead of giving this department star, I can give star.csv because my ending is same .csv extension, right? So if I give this and if I validate debug, it will move all the file which ends with .csv now. Succeeded. Now if I come here, if I go to output, open folder, yeah, all the file with .csv extension came, XML, JSON, all of that haven't came, right? So this we have tried. Now suppose any doubt till here, guys. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, fine. So let's move. So here, list, what is list of file? List of file is, suppose here if I go to input container, if I go to folder, now suppose someone told, or Meha told that, yeah, Abhishek, let's move only, you don't move department, you don't move all CSV, you just move the file which I am referring to. Okay, suppose for example, she said that you, yeah, Abhishek, you moved employee CSV. you move this employee data.csv, and you move sample data.csv. Okay, these are the three files you move. You don't move anything else beside that. Okay, so how to do this? So for that, we can use this list of file option. And how to use this option? I will create a text file. And here I will mention this files which Meha told me. I will use this employee.csv. I will use this employee data.csv, and I will move sample data.csv. Now I will upload. You can upload this file anywhere. I am uploading this file here as well. It is just like a metadata kind of a reference file which Data Factory will refer. Okay. Now what I will do, I will consider this option instead of considering that option. I will browse my file in which I have mentioned my file name, input container, folder, and then list of file. So this is the metadata. Now Data Factory will refer to this metadata after going to this container, right? So this container, so yeah, list of file is here, list of file is here. Yeah, after going to input file folder, and then it will go to that list of file and then move all of those file, right? This is how it will happen. So in the source, it will go to input folder, and then file name. For file name, it will refer to this list of file. Okay. Now in the sync, let's make a different folder. Here I will move the file to list of file folder now. List of file folder instead of a folder, so that we can understand, yeah, these files are coming up from list of file copy. What are the changes we have done here? We refer to the list of file which we have created, and in the sync, we just moved it to a different container. Sorry, different directory. I will see everything looks fine. I will debug. Done. Now let's come here. Let's go here. I will go to output container. I will open list of file. See, all the three file which we have mentioned is here now. This is how we can use list of file. Now suppose I will give another example. Input. Now I have a folder here. I have another folder here. And inside this folder as well, I have another folder which is suppose then I have inside this folder also I have another folder which is suppose subfolder. Inside this folder I have another folder which is folder star subfolder again. Now in this input container I will paste some of the file here. I will paste some of the file here. Paste some file here. And here I'm not sending anything. Now, my requirement is a bit different. I want to move all the files from all the folder one by one, and I want to only choose the CSV file. That is what I want to do. How to do this? So here I will go to again a wildcard option, and here I will give I will not give any folder because I basically want to move uh, from like from this to both folder I want to move, right? So I'm going to input container. Inside the input container, I am giving star.csv as my wildcard. And this recursive option I will select. Okay, process all file in input folder and its subfolder recursively, or just the one in the selected folder. This setting disabled when single file is selected. Okay, pretty understood. If you're selecting a single file, this option is disabled already. And then I want to move all the file to a CSV container, and then here let's move all the file to a different container altogether. So I will give this as output recursive recur. Okay. So it will recursively go to each and every folder and then move the file, which is only ends with CSV extension. Okay, I will validate and then I will debug. Done. Now if I come here, if I open this, if I go to output, yeah, so see folder, no, not this one, right? 1 second. Yeah, here, this one. And then if you see folder 2, something is fishy. 1 second. I will try to open the container side by side so that you can understand how it got moved. Okay, so here, if we see folder 2, 1 second, I am just trying to understand the flow. If I open input, it has folder 2. If I open recur, it doesn't have folder. Why it doesn't have folder? Folder 2. Okay, inside folder 2. Have a selected folder anywhere. Yeah, so that is why. So 1 second. I understood what has happened. So basically, it haven't started from here. Okay, it haven't started from here. Why? Because here we given this in the source, we given this folder. Okay, so what it does, it actually did, it went to this folder, and then from here you can see all the structure is same folder and all the file here. It got copied folder, all the file here. Okay, folder to this three, right? So folder to this three, right? Now if I open subfolder this, if I open subfolder this, only two files are here. Why this folder is not there? Because this folder is empty. So whenever you are copying the file, it will not copy the empty folder if none of the file is there. Okay, so that will not copy, and it started with folder. From here it got started. From here it got started. Yeah, from folder. Now suppose if you want to move folder 2 as well. Okay, so here you don't give this folder, it will start from the beginning after that. So I will remove this, I will go to this, I will delete as well so that we can recopy. Let's recopy. Okay, everything looks fine. What has happened now? Let's open this conflict. uh, Deleted, so probably we deleted this container. So let's go to sync, open this. I will try to give a different container name, validate, debug. Done. So let's come here, we'll go over here, we'll refresh this folder. Yeah, both of the folder came here, both of the folder is exactly same. Okay, so recursive will go to folder by folder, and it will move the file with the wildcard which you have given star.csv. And you can do the wildcard folder wise as well. Suppose you can give the folder star as wildcard, so I will give that as a homework so that you guys can try it. So recursive will go folder by folder and then move the file, but it will not move the empty file. Suppose empty folder, it will not copy the folder structure itself. If the file is only there, then it will copy, otherwise it will not copy. So here if I go, it copied this, it copied this, it copied this, it copied this, but here this hasn't been copied. Why? Because none of the file is here, right? So it will not copy the folder, the empty folder structure. List of file, recursive, wildcard, mapping, all of this we have understood. Any doubt on this, guys? Okay, no doubt. So everybody's awake, right? So everybody's with me.
Yeah.
Why nobody's asking anything? Okay, fine. So are you guys with me? Is it okay? Everybody is with me, right? Anurag, Anumeha, Jay
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Kumar,
Abhishek.
Sakshi. Yeah, okay, fine. So let's move forward. What we will do now, we will try to understand this option, which is a user property option. So I will publish this. All of the work which we have done, if I remove this, it will not get published. I'm just publishing all the work which I have done till now. But I suggest that I am changing in the same pipeline, it might be confusing. So try to create different pipelines. So when you're done with mapping, just create a different pipeline for your list of file, create a different file for pipeline for wildcard, create a different file for pipeline for recursive, create different pipeline. so that it will not confuse you. Okay, but I am doing in the same pipeline. So like as per the requirement in the company, you will use this options, right? So like it depends on the requirement which option you will use. So till now we understood this. Now what we will do, we will try to understand this particular option, user property. So I am going to this monitor tab. And till now whatever we run it will come in the debug mode. Here I can understand what are the work I have done in the debug mode. Okay, debug mode means we are trying to check whether our pipeline is functioning or not, right? Now and now so here you can add a trigger as well. So currently I am doing, we will understand what is this trigger. So currently I am just trying to trigger this pipeline. Once I finalize this pipeline, I can trigger the pipeline. I can just run it now, trigger now. So if I trigger the pipeline like this, when we will use trigger, so trigger is generally used when you want to trigger the pipeline at a particular time, at a particular scheduled time. At that particular time, you will use trigger. Okay. But for now, like I will try to explain this after we complete this copy data activity, and I will give you some sort of work which you can do. So here, let's
Uh,
understand this.
Abhishek,
Hmm,
one thing, when you click on add trigger, can you just click on add trigger once?
hmm.
There is an option like trigger now, and debug also, I think, gives us the same result, right? When you debug it, it also triggers the pipeline now only. What
Yes.
exactly the difference is?
Debug is when you are trying to check whether your pipeline is functioning or not. And then trigger now is like, suppose once you publish everything, right? You will either debug it or you will do the trigger now. Generally, we do a trigger now because this is finalized pipeline, but output is kind of same. Like the
Okay,
same work
okay.
will happen. Okay.
So trigger will only work once we publish the pipeline, you mean to say?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay,
Otherwise, it will
okay,
not work.
okay.
Okay. Now let's go over here and then we trigger the pipeline, right? So once we trigger the pipeline, it will come over here and we done the manual trigger. Generally, we don't do the manual trigger like whenever you just want to trigger at the same time, at that point only we will do the manual trigger. Otherwise, we will not do the manual trigger. So here now, what is this user property? Suppose let's go here and then open this. Here you can see your run, monitor the run. Now, if I go to the user property, you are not able to see anything. Now, if I want to understand what is my source of this copy data activity, what is my sink of my copy data activity, I need to go over here and go over here, open source, open this, and then try to understand. Okay. But I want a easy way out, that in this window only I want to understand everything. I don't want to go deep down because this is my monitor window. Here I want it to be more descriptive so that it is easily understood. Okay. So for that, what you can do, you can use user property. User property is for users for better understanding. It is kind of a notepad or kind of notes which you can create while development. So here user property, you can go, you can click over here, you can click over here and then go to user property and then do auto generate. And here I can add anything. So I can developed by, yeah, so I can give my email ID, for example, or my name, developed on, suppose, and then I can publish. Then now if I trigger, to trigger, now it will again show that you triggered the pipeline. It's running right now, manual trigger. If I open this, Now, if I go to user property here, I can understand the details like, yeah, sources this, destinations is developed by this, and all of those things. So you can user property is just like a not very important feature. Honestly, like I have used it in very few times, but yeah. So just for your awareness, user property you can use in that manner.
Quite like tags, right?
Yes, yeah, quite like text, yes, but not very useful. I haven't used it much, so it's okay, no problem. So here, yeah. So this is about copy data activity. I will give some homework in the end, like while we end the class in the user property. What are the other things which you can try? Sorry, in the copy data activity, what are the things you can try? So first of all, I would like to you guys to try this option, which is let me do now itself. We can close this topic and then we will move forward. So yeah, what you can try is let's click OK. So if you see in the blob storage, we have another option which is prefix. Okay, which is similar to what we have learned as department. Okay, department star, department 1, department 2, department 3. So prefix works exactly in the same manner. So why there's a two options? So that is what Microsoft thought, that yeah, we have prefix, we have wildcard, so we can combine both of them in Data Lake Gen 2, which is a new version. Why we are introducing two options, but prefix as well is present in the blob storage. It works in the similar manner, wildcard manner. Prefix will work only with the end, first thing, department star, all of that. It will not work with the end star.csv. Wildcard works with both of them. So you can try this prefix option with the blob storage. So let's write one by one. What are the things you guys need to try? Try prefix with blob storage. Now, uh, here, suppose there is a like this option, last modified option. So suppose in my input container, I have many files over here, right? So if I open this, I have many files over here. Suppose I want to move only this file, which is 13th01/2024, only this file, and I don't want to move anything else. So I can do that by using this last modified option. You can give the start date, end date in such a manner that you want to consider that file only, start date this, end date this, and just move all the file which is in between this start date and end date, and leave rest of them. So you can use this option. Very important point to note is here the you need to give UTC, and there it is a German. So here I am looking at German time zone. So all of this time zone is German. For you, if you are looking at this window, you probably will be looking in IST time zone. But there you need to give everything in the UTC time zone. Okay, here everything will come in the UTC time zone. So convert it and then give it. So try this option, which is try uh, moving the file by using UTC time zone. Now, yeah. So and beside that, what you can try is yeah. So I will go here. There's a important one of the interesting document which I found on the internet. One second, let me open it. Yeah. So let's see this, right? Now, suppose I am giving the wildcard as folder star, which also you can give. Okay, so here I will give, instead of when I'm selecting my wildcard, here I will give folder star. Okay, that is what I will do, folder star. And I will do recursive false. and I want to move like uh, from this container. Okay, that is what I want to do. So what it will go, it will go to folder A, it will move these two files. Okay, it will move this to file, and then it will not go to this subfolder. Why? Because recursive is false. Also, it will not go to another folder. Why? Because we have given this folder star. Is it clear, guys? So we want to move from container, and it will move this folder A, but here if folder B is written, then this file will be also moved. Why? Because this wildcard is folder star, but the wildcard is another folder B, so it will not go to another folder B. Why? Because the wildcard is folder star, and this is another folder. If this is not written, only folder B is written, then it will go here as well. Is it clear, guys?
Yeah. But it won't go to subfolder because of the same reason, right?
No,
Not because of
it will not
recursive.
go to the subfolder. Why? Because we have recursive false. So
Okay.
recursive is folder by folder, it will go only and only if we have recursive. Yes, true. So if you if you see the second example, it is folder star, but recursive is true. So it will go to this folder, and also it will go to this folder, but it will again not go to this folder. Why? Because it is folder star.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
clear, right?
It
Yeah.
will go to the subfolder you're saying, Abhishek,
Yeah,
in the
it will
second
go
one.
to subfolder because recursive is true.
Uh,
But here,
but
if it, yeah,
only point is it doesn't start with folder star, right? The subfolder.
uh, no. So see, there's two things. Okay.
Mm.
So here you are giving container. Container
Mm-hmm.
means this container,
Mm-hmm.
and then you are giving this wildcard folder star. That is what you are giving.
Right,
So it will
right.
check this and it will check this. But after that, like it is doing the recursive. It will not go to because you are giving.
Okay.
Yeah.
The nested folders won't be checked, right?
No, nested folder won't be checked, and it will be checked from if you have recursive option enabled. So it will go to another folder. But here you have given folder star, so it will consider all the folder over here, which starts with folder star, and it will
Parent
not.
parent folders would be considered
Yeah,
for the
for
for the
yeah,
wildcard
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
okay.
But now you can do other way around. So you can put like suppose slash then folder star. If you give like that, then it will suppose, yeah, now if you want to say that, yeah, I want to start from here, then you give folder slash folder star, then it will go to nested folder and check.
Okay.
And in that case, it won't go to subfolder.
Yeah, in that case it will not go to subfolder. Yes, you're right.
We just need
Big
to give one more slash, right?
one more slash and then give folder
Right.
star. Okay.
Okay.
Now let's move again here. If we have folder star, if we want to move only star.csv and recursive is false, so it will go to folder this, it will move this file, but it will not go like it will not either move the JSON file, it will move these files as well. Why? Because we have given star.csv, the in above option, it moved both of the file, but here it is a star.csv, it will just move one file. Now, if I give folder star.csv recursive true, then it will go to folder this, it will move this, and then because we have given recursive true for the, I guess, yeah, so for the second time we have given recursive true, so it will go to subfolder again and move the file, but it will not go to another folder. Clear, guys?
Yep.
Yeah.
I am copying this, please try this out, and beside trying what we have done, so try this out. And in the mapping feature, one more thing which you can try in the source file. Suppose now someone says that, Abhishek, I want to, when we are copying the file, I want an additional column, and in that column, I want to name the file name. Suppose, yeah, this is my file name, or I want to name the like what is the timestamp, current timestamp. Okay, so I want to introduce another column. So, for example, in this particular table, if I'm moving this file, while after movement there should be one more column over here which should consider my file name department.csv. It should consider that. Okay, so for that you can use this additional column option with mapping. If you do that, then you can do it. So I'm writing this, use additional column to add file name as a column. Okay, or timestamp. Then sync mapping, yeah. Then try to use one of the option. Don't try to use all the option. Try to use one option. This option is being used to convert like a date time. Okay, so try to use this option, like one of the option in all of them. Try to use mapping date time conversion option. Anything left? No. This is done. This is done. This is done. This is done. Output is done. Okay, fine. Yeah. So these are the option you guys can try beside what I covered. All right. Now we will do triggers and then we will end the class. What is trigger? And if you're trying all of these and if you're facing problem, try to publish your pipeline, save it, and then show it to me. In that way, I will be able to understand what's the problem you are facing. Okay, so try to publish your pipeline and then show it to me. And also, I will suggest try to create different pipeline. Try to create wildcard pipeline, list of file pipeline, additional column file pipeline, prefix pipeline, mapping feature pipeline, user property pipeline, create different pipeline for everything what you're trying to do, so that you are, if you're creating more pipeline, you will get more handy. And then give your file name accordingly so that which pipeline you're referring to, you can understand. Try to publish it and then show it to me. In that way, it will be better. Yeah. Now we will understand triggers. Very important again from the interview perspective. What is triggers? Very favorite interview question. Till now, the classes like in 2 to 3 class, the important interview questions are: what is storage account? What is blob storage data lake Gen 2? What is the difference between both? What is link service integration runtime? What is the difference between both? And Then triggers. What is trigger? How many types of triggers are there? Which triggers you have used, which we'll understand now. And then some scenario based questions can be asked from this wildcard, recursive, list of file, all of that. If a particular person is technical, he understands data factory very well, then he will go deep into that he try to, but it is a difficult part. People will not go in too deep in this particular manner, but they will generally ask this question what I am discussing with you. Triggers, list of triggers, link service integration runtime, because this is the overview, right? So they ask about it, and list of file, all of that a developer will ask, who is basically daily working on this kind of a pipeline building using all of it, right? Now we will understand triggers. Where is the trigger slide? Yeah. triggers. Very important from the interview perspective. We will today understand only schedule time trigger. And now let me elaborate what is trigger and when do we use trigger. So suppose I have developed this pipeline, my development is finished. Now I cannot come daily at 10 p.m. after my store is closed to trigger this pipeline, right? Because I am a human. Human is prone to error. Sometimes I will trigger it, sometime I will miss it. So all of that can happen. I want to make this process automatic. So automatically data factory should use trigger and trigger it at 10 p.m. without me coming here. Okay. So for that, you can use a trigger option. Trigger option basically will trigger your pipeline at a particular time. So there are three types of triggers: schedule time trigger, tumbling window trigger, and event-based trigger. When to use what? So suppose when you want to, when you're working for Walmart, for example, so Walmart is store closed at 8 p.m. in the night, and after that at 10 p.m. they want to move every data of every data to the cloud. So they will schedule the pipeline at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m., anything of that sort. They will trigger the pipeline at a particular time. Yeah, on this particular time, I want to trigger the pipeline. Schedule time trigger. What is tumbling window trigger? Whenever you want to trigger a pipeline, like suppose now you're not working for Walmart, you're working for SDFC Bank, for example, right? So in SDFC Bank, whenever I am going to the bank and just I want to deposit some money, at the same time, that particular deposit will come to your application. Yeah, so Abhishek has given us 10,000 and now we need to update the application. So Abhishek application, and you are just depositing the money, the particular person is entering that entry to the laptop, and then that entry is going to the cloud, refreshing all the data coming to your application, right? So it is a system. Now it is actually a real-time system, but just to understand it, we are considering like it is a tumbling window trigger beside that, which is working, which is basically triggering your pipeline at every 5 minutes, every 10 minutes, every 15 minutes, every 1 hour, kind of, right? So that is tumbling window trigger. In SDFC Bank, that is a real-time streaming and all of that. It is completely a different architecture. I'm not saying we are using tumbling window trigger over there, but just to understand, whenever we want to trigger a pipeline at 1 hour, 2 hour, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, in that we will use tumbling window trigger in a scheduled interval of 10 minutes, like in any X interval. Okay. What is event-based trigger? So suppose my manager came to me and said, Abhishek, you need to trigger the pipeline whenever a file is coming to this folder. Okay. Then I asked to my manager, hey, can you tell me at what time it will come? Because I know about schedule time trigger and tumbling window trigger. And if you tell me that it will come at 9 p.m., I will schedule my pipeline at 10 p.m. or 9:30, something like that. So my manager said, Abhishek, I don't know when particular this file will come. It can come anytime, and my client is also not aware. Whenever he receives the file, he will come here and upload it. Okay. So it based on an event, right? So a particular person will come and then upload it, or a system will come and upload it. Then only it will trigger, but we don't know at what time it will come, on which day it will come. So we will use event based trigger for that. Event based trigger depends on an event. If any event is happening, then only the event based trigger will work, and it only work with storage account and few of the other options, but it will not work with any kind of event, right? So because Microsoft is also limited to handle certain events which is under control of them. In that way, only event based trigger will come. So schedule time trigger, tumbling window trigger, event based trigger. What is schedule time trigger? Schedule time trigger based on a particular time. If you want to trigger the pipeline at a particular time, we will use schedule time trigger. If you want to trigger the pipeline on a particular interval, we will use tumbling window trigger. If you want to trigger the pipeline based on an event, we will use event based trigger. Very, very important from the interview perspective. Any doubt in the use case of it, I will try to explain event schedule time trigger for now. Then going forward, we will understand tumbling window trigger and event based trigger, because it's kind of bit difficult, but schedule time we can understand now as well.
So can we use these for self-hosted integration runtime?
Which one?
I mean the event-based trigger. Like if
Y-
we are
mm,
if we are uploading the data at particular scheduled time,
mm.
then like
Yeah, so event-based
no.
trigger, suppose, yeah, when you are using self-hosted integration runtime, you must be moving the data from your server, right?
Yes.
From like, so from your MS SQL server to data lake. For example, you designed the pipeline in such a manner that, yeah, your source is MS SQL, your sink is blob storage. And then you are moving the data from this to this, and in the source you have used self-hosted integration runtime, in links in sink you have used data lake. For that case, you cannot use the event based trigger. Why? Because that is limited to your server and Microsoft cannot handle that. It is like I have used it for data lake only, and I think it works with data lake and few of the other option, but it definitely doesn't work with MS SQL server. Like suppose if any file is refreshed in MS SQL server, trigger the pipeline. It doesn't work like that.
Mm.
And it
Okay.
is quite understood as well because Microsoft cannot control like that space which is under you. So it cannot track that. So event based trigger can basically track that space. So event like that cannot be tracked like your server. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. So yeah, so let's uh make a trigger. So here we will use schedule time trigger and then I will,
So
yeah.
Abhishek, one thing. So that means it would work only with Azure hosted, the agents, right? The
Uh,
integration runtime.
uh Sorry, your question is bit different. I guess you want to say
Hmm.
the event-based trigger will only work with Azure hosted.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes, default integration runtime.
I think so. Like I can confirm that, but I'm 90% sure it will because I have used it for the blob storage, but I can check the list and let you know. But yeah, so mostly Azure hosted, you are right. But I can confirm that. I cannot confirm that right now because I don't remember it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I can confirm that after checking it. Okay.
Oh, sure,
Or I will send you the list in the group. That's not a problem.
sure. Thank you.
Okay, so let's any other question, guys? Okay, no question. Okay, fine. Let's go to add trigger, new trigger. We'll create a trigger, new trigger, then trigger one. And any so suppose here if I'm creating a trigger, this trigger can be used across the pipeline. One trigger can be used across the pipeline. So you don't need to create a different trigger for every pipeline. Suppose if your trigger is 10 a.m. trigger, which should trigger 10 pipelines. So that trigger can be used for all the pipeline. It is not like, yeah, so this trigger is work with only this pipeline. It is not the case. So now what I want to do, I want to trigger my pipeline. Suppose, yeah, start time is this, and then I want to give once in a day. And then I want to trigger the pipeline at, for example, 9, uh, 10. Yeah. So here so UTC time now is 9:55, right? So let's trigger this pipeline at 9:57, for example, 9:57. Now, yeah, everything looks fine. Now I will start on creation. So when I am creating this pipeline, I want to start the pipeline at the same time, start on creation, okay? 9:57, I want to trigger the pipeline. Yeah, once in a day. Okay, fine, everything looks fine. Let's click OK. Click OK, publish it. I should be written 9:57 trigger so that everybody can understand this trigger works at 9:57. But like, yeah, so just give your name properly. And if I go to trigger here also, you can see which trigger you have created. Not trigger run. Let's go here and then let's go to triggers. Yeah, this trigger, which pipeline? This pipeline. If you attach multiple pipeline, you can see related 2, 3, 4. And here you can see this trigger is being used by how many pipelines? 957. Ideally, it should be triggered if I haven't done any mistake. Pipeline runs. Come on. Oh, why? Okay, let's go here. What happened? We'll quickly try to check. 957. Start time. It should work. I don't know why it's not working. Oh, fine. Let's go. No, something happened. Sometime it is something like UTC or something like that is happening. 1 second, let me check. Here I will also give. Okay, let me give this time zone only. 10:59, for example. Either I need to give in UTC time zone or my time zone, that I'm a bit confused. Let's publish and let's see whether it will function or not. Yeah, so that time I need to give in the same time zone which I have selected over here. That is what I was doing. I was giving in the UTC time zone. So here I selected this time zone. So here I need to give in the same time zone I was giving in the UTC time zone. That was a confusion from my side. Yeah, so here we are triggering this particular pipeline at 11 a.m. and that is what we have given. And then this trigger automatically got started, right? I haven't triggered it. So here you can understand, yeah, so this particular pipeline got triggered at trigger 1 by using trigger 1. And now suppose if I want to attach another trigger, suppose I want to, someone said, Anurag said that, yeah, basically Abhishek, you trigger this pipeline 2 times. You trigger this pipeline at 11 a.m. and also 11:30. That also can be done. So here you can go do new trigger, choose a trigger, new trigger, and then suppose here I will just do once in a day, and then 11:30 that you can do, and then give the pipeline 11:30 trigger, 11:30 trigger, and then click OK, and then publish. So one trigger can be used at multiple pipeline, or one pipeline can be triggered by multiple triggers, both ways. Okay, so it works both ways. Now a trigger can be created directly from here as well. So if I want to create a trigger directly from here, that also I can do. Like suppose not from here, Let's go to triggers and then trigger 3. Suppose trigger 3 I want to create, and then I want to do once in a day, and I want to trigger this pipeline at 11:45. Okay. But I cannot start this trigger on creation. Why? Because this trigger I haven't attached this trigger anywhere, right? So I cannot start it right now. If I do this and then if I publish, it will throw an error. Yeah, it cannot start. Why? Because none of the pipeline is attached, right? So here we just need to click OK and then publish it. If you want to attach this trigger, at that point only you start. Okay, so here, suppose if I go over here, if I click over here, now if I want to attach one more trigger, then I can attach this trigger and then I can start. So it's sometimes I also do this mistake. So whenever you are attaching a trigger, try to start it. So sometimes your manager said, hey Abhishek, go and schedule a trigger, and then I said, yeah, I have scheduled a trigger, tomorrow it will run. But sometimes I forgot about starting it. So it's a very important option. Sometimes we'll do the mistake over here, don't start it. Okay, so you can do that. And uh, one second, I wanted to show you few other option is is that you can mention end date as well over here. And yeah, so suppose you want to trigger the pipeline at a particular month, like suppose I want to trigger first and last day, that also you can do, because 30, 31st, 28, 29, all of that can also happen. So all of these options you can play around, you can select, you can play around with this option, but yeah, this way trigger will work. So what are the homeworks beside this, what we have covered in the today's class? In the today's class, we have covered copy data activity. Copy data activity. In copy data activity, we covered your we started with mapping. Timeout error also you can try. Suppose give just very small time, like 1 second, and see whether it's work functioning or not. Timeout error. Timeout error. And then we tried mapping feature. In the mapping feature, we tried two option: rearrange columns and delete column. Then we tried what we tried after that, mapping. And then we tried wildcard. We tried department star and star.csv. Then we tried list of file. Then we tried um, list of file. Then we tried recursive. Then after recursive, we tried what else? We haven't tried anything else beside that, I think. Then we came and then we understood triggers, and then in triggers we time trigger. And inside you time trigger, try both ways. Try to create a trigger first and use it, or or directly attach a trigger. And we tried user property as well over here. And seventh is user property. Yeah, so these are the things which we have tried. Please complete everything, and then we will meet next weekend. And also it's very important for the people who don't know anything about SQL, please try to practice SQL, because data engineering job is extract, transform, and load. So we are trying to understand extraction. We will do some sort of transformation as well, but transformation is mostly done by using SQL and Python. So for the basic if you are targeting like, so suppose currently I will suggest to first learn SQL, because SQL will help you in any kind of role, like a data scientist, data analyst, data engineering, all the kind of roles SQL will help you. And starting like this 20, 25, 30 LPA you can crack by using SQL as well. I have done it by myself. And then if you want like, and basics of Python like pandas, numpy, all of that, you can, if you learn that, then you can crack the interviews. Don't focus on Python right now. You can focus on Python once SQL is okay, and it is just one language is necessary. So please focus on SQL, and I will give you the interview question. What I will do from my side, if you have any SQL related question, then you can anyways clear that, but I will not teach you SQL, because SQL I feel I don't teach it. Why? Because I feel SQL will be learned by practicing it. So that is why I will share the interview question. I share the interview question in this group as well. I will share this interview question in our group as well. But try to take SQL as well, as a side hustle. Open HackerRank, open Lead Code. There are many platforms in which you can write SQL queries, and I will give you all the interview question which can be asked through the SQL, and then it is very easy to crack in. I have done it from W3 school back in 2017-16, and many of my friends had done it. So like many of my students as well. So yeah, it's very easy to crack. Plus, please take SQL seriously, okay? Beside all of this, and I guarantee you, if you just follow, if you just do the homework, and then if you practice SQL by end of the classes, like by end of the our coverage classes, Azure has very good scope. If you prepare your resume, go to the market, you'll definitely get an interview call. I have switched multiple jobs in India. I came to Germany because of Azure only. Directly I applied and came here, so it has a scope everywhere. If you just don't feel that, just put your resume, put some projects. I will give you projects. Try to put those projects in your resume and see how many calls you're getting. So definitely there's a scope. Okay. Okay, fine. So this is all for today's class. Please practice it. If you have doubt, paste your questions in the group. Make the group more interactive. Help each other. Few people are experienced, know SQL already. You can paste interview question as well if you find any good links. So yeah, so let's connect next weekend. At the same time, probably I will just confirm in the group on Thursday, Friday if my schedule changes. But we'll connect in the same time, and then let's meet next weekend. If you have any doubt, I'm here. You can ask me, or else you can drop off. Happy weekend. See you then next weekend, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Thanks, Abhishek.